Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Fred and we're pressing on with the 240SX project. So today is going to be mostly about intercooler piping, I think, and buttoning up some of the work that I did yesterday. So I think the project for the most part today is going to be building this intercooler pipe that goes from here right through the middle of that transcooler and then up through the pan right there and then over to the throttle body. I've got enough parts I think here today to do most of that work. Transcooler's got to be moved. Not exactly sure what I'm going to do with that just yet. But I got a bunch of this 3.5-inch aluminum piping right there, and then a whole box full of it right there. And then silicone couplers are supposed to be here today on the UPS truck. So I think I have what I need to build this pipe all the way up to the throttle body. And then one silicone reducer that goes from 4-inch throttle body to 3.5-inch is not going to be here for a couple of days, so can't quite make that final connection, but I can do everything from about right there on down, I think. And then I've got enough piping to build this side. However, I don't really know where to send this pipe to yet because the new turbo is not installed yet, and I don't know where its outlet is going to land ultimately, so I really can't build this pipe just yet. So I think the basic flow of the project is going to be to build this pipe while we have all the materials here, and then button up some things like the top of the intercooler and the intercooler mounts, and then hold off on this pipe and switch over to mounting the S480, which is right over here. And that'll be a whole big old project in and of itself. And then once that's done, then I'll jump back here onto this pipe and finish that up. So I think that's what I got ahead of me. I don't know how far I'll get with all of that today. It's a ton of work, so all this kind of fabrication stuff takes a ridiculous amount of time. It's a lot of fun and I really enjoy it. In fact, this is my favorite part of a project. It's my most favorite thing to do on the entire build, is to build piping, mounts, installing hot side, cold side, cutting, welding, fabricating. That kind of stuff is by far my favorite stuff. So it's going to be a good time. I enjoy every minute of it, even though it does take forever and it can be frustratingly slow sometimes. It's still a lot of fun. So I think it is time to get to work. So I've got the transcooler mount and cooler itself out of the way now, and I've just put the cooler right here temporarily, but that actually might end up being where that thing lives. We'll see. It fits pretty good there. Just needs a little bracket. So now I think it's time to start mocking up the pipe. So I've got this 3.5-inch aluminum 180 U-bend here. So I think the first step is just to put this thing in the bandsaw and cut it right there at the center point of the bend, and then from that point I can start mocking up the distances and angles and so forth. But it looks like basically if I just cut that bend right in the middle, that's nearly right where it needs to be for the end of the pipe to line up with the tray up there that has to get cut. So step number one is just cut this dude in half. So I'll go show you how I do that. So this is my pipe cutting setup. I built this table and built this piece here, and this piece has a board in there that slides into this track, fits into this track and slides like this. So I just push right here with my hand, and then the pipe would be positioned against this device here, and I just push it into the blade. And if I wanted a 45, for example, I could make a mark right here at the 90, then I could rotate that mark over here to the 45 line, like that, and then I could cut a 45 out of the pipe just like that. Now this piece here was made for a 2.5-inch diameter tubing, which would have a little bit different radius and would actually fit this tight. This is 3.5-inch tubing, which is made on a much bigger centerline radius, so this table doesn't really fit this pipe. If I were to do a lot of this pipe, I would make another one of these, and I would make it as big as this right here to fit the centerline radius, and then everything would work even better. But I have found that I'm able to use this table even with pipe that doesn't really fit it and still get good enough results to do what I'm trying to do. I will say though, as I'm starting to do this, I'm noticing how poorly bent these pipes are. I bought these from Summit, and they had a good price. It wasn't a fantastic price, but it was as good as anybody else, and they were in stock and they always ship fast, so I went with Summit. But these are extremely not square. Like these, I don't know if you can see on camera, but these legs here go out big time. These legs should be parallel with each other, should be the same distance from here to here as they are from here to here, and they are super not. So I don't even know how I'm going to get good cuts with these bends at all. If I cut it square on the 90 here, this leg is just out this way. But if I square this leg up and then try to cut a 90 here and actually get a square 90, then this piece is way wrong. So I'd have to cut 2 times for every side, which sucks. So I'm not really sure if this is going to screw me or not, but I'm used to working with 180s that are actually 180s, and you can just cut them in half and you'll have 2 90s and everything works out really, really good. This kind of blows, so thanks Summit for selling crappily bent pipe. I don't know if all aluminum 3.5s are like this or if it's just that brand or what, but I'm going to have to rely, unfortunately, on my silicone couplers to absorb some of the misalignment that I'm definitely going to end up with here, which blows. I really didn't want that. When it comes to fabricating, the more accurate you are in the cutting and the angles and the fit up, the better the welding goes. And the better the welding goes, the better it looks, and the better the whole project goes. So it all really starts right here with having good pipe that's cut on really great 90s, 45s, and 22.5s. If you just follow that rule, cut everything on nothing other than a 90, a 45, or a 22.5, and you just follow that principle, your whole project goes really smooth. All the fabricating and all of the getting a pipe from point A to point B works out really well. But whenever you start cheating and cutting on random angles, the whole project falls apart and everything becomes super frustrating. So starting off with a cheated angle, it really is disappointing. But that's what I've got, and I have to work with what I got, so we'll see what happens. I think I got everything squared up and ready to go, as square as I can get it, considering what I'm working with here, so it's time to give it a go. Well, that was funny. Apparently I forgot to tighten the guard. Okay, now maybe we're ready to go. Harbor Freight problems. Here we go. So this is going to be the plan, I believe. I'm going to cut 1 3/4 inches off of this end, right at that black mark. And I'm going to move that piece that I cut off down to this end and weld it on here. That way I've got a nice V, or excuse me, not a V. That way I've got a nice bead roll at the end of this pipe. So my silicone coupler has plenty to bite onto and won't have to worry about this blowing off. And it'll pull this out, which I need because the length of the silicone coupler is about 3 inches. So if this were real close, the coupler would get into that bend right there and I'd always have problems sealing. So this will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So a little update, I've got this extension welded on here, or tacked on, and then I've got it taped here just because I only have 2 hands. So that kind of shows you what that pipe's going to look like. And then I've got this piece here with a little extension tacked onto it, and it's going to go right here. So everything's looking good and looking like it's going to work out nicely, only I need 2 inches between those 2 pieces. So that's actually going to end up fitting right about there. So that's what I'm going to do now, is cut a little 2-inch chunk and tack it in place right in that gap. And once that's in there, things will more or less be configured, and it meets up underneath here, right there where I want it. And then it's going to be time to run to Lowe's and buy a 4-inch hole saw so I can cut out a big old hole right there. So this pipe's all tacked up and looking beautimous. Absolutely love how this is turning out. That's how it's going to sit. This 3.5-inch pipe looks so nice in the hand and on the car. It looks so much more serious and beefy than 3-inch. I wish I was doing 4-inch, to be honest with you, but this intercooler's 3.5, so no advantage to go into 4-inch in my opinion. So yep, that's how it fits, and you can see that I've drawn a circle and paint pen up there on where that pipe hits, and then I made a little dot right in the exact center of that. So that right there, I'll take a punch and knock a little divot right there, and then I'll drill a really small hole with the drill bit, and that'll locate the center of the circle for me. and then I will come around to the top side and drill downwards with a 4-inch hole saw and cut that whole section out of there, and that'll be done. But unfortunately I got to run to Lowe's to buy a 4-inch hole saw because I do not have one of them big old suckers, so I'll be back. Okay, I am back from Lowe's and I've got what I need. I decided to get a 4 1/8 inch hole saw instead of a 4-inch so I can have a little more wiggle room on both sides of the hole. So I have got that. This is the only drill I have that works, that fits this big old arbor, so who knows how long this battery is going to last. I don't know if I can do this job on one battery or not, but I do have another one charging up, so we'll see what happens. There's my pilot hole right there, so nothing left to do but to do it. Okay guys, I got the hole done, but I gotta be honest with you, it turned out absolutely horrible. I'm not a person to hide my mistakes and hide failures and make myself look better on camera than I am, so I'm definitely gonna show you what happened. Just want you to know that this is not the kind of work I typically do. It's just something I gotta deal with now, which is no problem. So what happened was the hole saw wouldn't finish the hole because the hole saw just sucks. I don't know what happened. I didn't even get halfway through the hole and the tips of all the teeth rounded over and it just died. Everything got hot and hole saw just wouldn't do the job. So I had to switch over to I did switch over to a Sawzall, and that worked great, except when I got around to this section here, I hit a previous repair patch that I had done years and years ago. We're talking like 8-9 years ago. I had filled a hole right here with a piece that was welded up from the back and then a little bit of body filler right in there. But when I hit that section, all the vibrations from the saw caused one of those welds to pop on that patch piece, and then of course the body filler cracked all the way around and it just turned into a disaster, and I ended up peeling off that patch panel that was just tack welded around. So my bad for, I guess, not doing the best job on patching that hole 8 or so years ago, whenever that was. Had that hole saw done what it was supposed to do, I would have just blew through everything and it would have been just fine, but that didn't happen. So this is what I've got. I've got a really rough hole here, so I can clean up the edges. Wow, I just dropped you. So I can clean up the edges no problem with a nice die grinder bit and make those nice and smooth, and then I can put a piece of trim around the edge and make it look just fine. But I can't do anything about this guy here other than sand everything down, weld in a patch panel and do a better job of it, and then body work and paint. And I'm definitely not going to get into that kind of stuff right now with this car. This whole engine bay needs a redo as far as body work and paint goes. So I'll just save this for whenever, probably the next time I have the engine out. I will just do a big round of patching holes, patch that, and then probably repaint the whole thing, re-clear it, and wet sand and buff it next time. It is painted and cleared. I did paint and clear this engine bay myself. I just never went back and wet sanded and buffed it, so it's glossy, it's just not flat and smooth. And then eventually I stopped caring about that and just wanted to go fast and make power, and that's where we are today. So anyway, obviously I never finished the radiator support either. I cut this so that I could make this removable, and then I haven't got back to finishing out the body work on all this yet. So basically the engine bay needs a whole round of cleanup anyway, so this is just adding a little bit more to that, so no big deal. But just wanted to tell you guys what happened and how it happened and what it looks like, and not hide anything. So that's where we're at. So the pipe here comes up through the hole pretty well. Comes up just like this, so the hole's in the right spot, so that's a win. And now I just got to build from that point there up and over to the throttle body, and I'm waiting on a coupler, like I said, to get here in the mail, which will be here in a couple of days. But I think I can build all the way from here up, probably most of the way there, so that's what I'm going to work on now. So anyway, that's where we're at. It's actually coming along pretty good. Other than that little snafu right there, things are turning out really nice. Okay guys, I think that's going to do it for today's video. I'm basically out of materials. I need my silicone couplers to show up from UPS before I can do much more on that charge pipe, and they may not be here for a couple of days. So for tomorrow I may jump over and start disassembling the turbo system and get the 7875 off of there, and start to mock up the big turbo. That might be what happens next. I think that's probably what's going to happen unless UPS shows up here pretty quick. So anyway, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys following the project here. If you have any questions, just let me know down below in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you like what I'm doing and want to follow the project, just give me a sub on the channel. And we're going to try to run 8s this year in the 240, try to make around something like 800 horsepower, I believe. I think I've got everything I need on this car right now to run closer to 1,000 horsepower. But I really think 800 is about all I need, and I think this setup will do that comfortably and stay happy now. The big intercooler is a big part of that, and the big turbo is a big part of making the whole combo reliable and happy. So I think we've got what we need to achieve the goals. So if you want to follow along with the project, subscribe to the channel. And otherwise, guys, I will catch you on the next one.